All right, guys, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Really want to express gratitude of myself and my staff and everybody with AFP Mississippi for the great turnout that we had tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about what Americans for Prosperity Mississippi has in store for our 2020 legislative agenda. As most of you know, our mission is to lower barriers so every Mississippian can realize their full potential regardless of their background. We want to give every Mississippian the freedom to realize their full potential so they can live the American dream regardless of where they live or their income level. We want to get government out of the way to make that happen. To make that happen, we've coined a phrase. Our slogan for this legislative session is we want to make Mississippi the opportunity state. And there are two key things that we have to do to make that happen. First is we have to change our political culture, and second, we have to change a few key policies. The first step, as I said, is to change our political culture. Right now in Mississippi, we are dominated by a political culture of control. It's a mindset that dominates our politics. The problem is not bad people, it's bad thinking. The culture of control says that ordinary people are not capable of making the big decisions that govern their lives. The culture of control says that government should grant privileges to a select group of people and then expect that group of people to take care of the people. And that mindset is often backed by the best of intentions. It's been around for a long, long time. It just appears in different forms. The outward appearances and the names and the labels sometimes change, but the essence of the culture of control is the same. For ages, kings thought that they were the anointed rulers of the people. They thought that it was their born right to rule. They granted titles of nobility to a select group of people, and they gave them responsibility to rule over the common people and to protect them. They viewed the people as poor, illiterate, and unsophisticated. The idea that ordinary people can actually make the big decisions that affected their lives was unthinkable. The nobility believed it was not only their right to rule, it was actually their duty and their obligation to rule and to protect the common people, so-called. And they thought that it was actually cruel to leave the so-called common people to their own devices. They thought it was necessary to have a class of noble elites that would protect the common people. But the people who founded our country, the American founders, rejected the culture of control. They saw themselves as citizens and not subjects. They rejected the idea that a select group should be given privileges that they would then use to protect the people. Our founders crossed an ocean and fought a revolution to overthrow control culture. The founders actually prohibited granting of titles of nobility in our Constitution. But control culture is one of those ideas that won't seem to die. It keeps coming back and reappearing in different forms over time. When war and depression came to our country, control culture said things are not as simple anymore as they were when this country was founded. When America got started, small government, limited government, individual liberty made sense. But that was a long time ago. Control culture says life is so complicated now with modern industries and technology, with stock market crashes and financial crises. Life has just gotten too big for the common people to get their arms around. So in time, with that point of view, control culture slipped back into the saddle. And that point of view has taken root in many generations here in Mississippi. Over time, for years, powerful interests were granted special privileges and they got control. In exchange for those privileges and control, they promised to protect the people. They got government subsidies and protection from competition. They got privileged access to markets and guaranteed customers. And again, this was not done by bad people. This was done usually with the best of intentions, because control culture says you have to give privileges to the best and the brightest, and you can expect them to take care of the quote-unquote ordinary people. After all, control culture says these elites are more educated. They've gone to the best universities. They've run big conglomerates. They know how to manage complicated things. They've done all the research. They know the best methods and techniques and economics and education and healthcare. Control culture says you can't expect regular people to know how to make these big complicated decisions. You can't expect regular people in every little community to decide these things. That would be a catastrophe. And if you're actually in government, control culture appeals to your fears. Control culture says you in government have an obligation to give control to the elite so that they can protect the people. But despite the best intentions in a control culture, most of the people actually end up getting ripped off because you lose control of the big decisions in your life. The bureaucrats pick your child's school, and they tell that school how it has to go about educating your child. The elites and the bureaucrats decide what it means for your child to be prepared for life. They, not you, decide what is the best education for your child, even if it doesn't fit your child's needs. In a control culture, the government decides which medical providers get the privilege of serving. The government decides what kind of health insurance you can buy and how much of a premium the health insurance company can charge. People think that we have a free market in healthcare, but we actually don't. The healthcare market is tightly controlled by government. Government controls the provider market and the insurance market. And we look at that and we wonder why healthcare is so expensive. It's expensive because it's dominated by a control culture. In the job market, under control culture, insider-dominated licensing boards decide which occupation that you're free to pursue. In our universities, under a control culture, insiders shape the messages that your college-age children are allowed to hear, and they limit the ways that they can speak their minds. And ideas that stray from the party line on college campuses get pushed aside. And the net result of all this is that under a control culture, you get fewer choices, lower quality, and higher costs in education and healthcare. You get diminished job opportunities and diminished free speech rights. You can't make the big decisions that govern the course of your life, so you can't rise to your full potential. You're managed. You fill out forms. You stand in line and ask for permission. You become a number. And most tragic of all, in a control culture, a lot of unfortunate people are pushed into a state of dependency on government. And once they're in that state of dependency, they're trapped by this web of control and protection. And it's hard for them to get out. But there is another way. The other way is opportunity culture. Opportunity culture is willing to bet on you. Opportunity culture places its faith in ordinary people, not elites. Opportunity culture says that you have the right, the ability, and the responsibility to make the important decisions in your life. Now, you may not always make the right decisions. You'll make some bad ones, but they'll be your decisions. You'll own them. You'll own your education, your health care, and your work. If we in Mississippi embrace opportunity culture and reject control culture, we can make Mississippi the opportunity state. So in sum, the way to do that is to enact some specific policies. Fix the political culture, get away from control culture, and fix some specific policies. Give us back control of our education, our health care, our resources, and our freedom of speech. Give people who were convicted of a crime and paid their debt to society control of their lives back once they paid that debt. Give them a second chance so they can begin contributing again. So what do we have to do to give us back control of our education? First, we have to make sure that every family, regardless of zip code, can have access to the traditional public, private, charter, or homeschool that meets their needs, regardless of their income level or their zip code. Second, we have to free our public educators from red tape so that they can focus on students and not bureaucracy. We have to give local schools the authority to use the best teachers to give instruction to their kids, even if it's over the internet, regardless of whether or not that teacher happens to live in the local school district. We can't let regulations stand in the way of using modern technology to educate our kids. Second, making Mississippi the opportunity state means giving us control of our health care. As I alluded to, healthcare providers such as nurse practitioners should be given full practice authority so that they can serve you to the full extent of their training. We need to repeal certificate of need laws that prevent providers from competing to provide you the best care at the lowest cost. We need to make sure that regulations don't block access between patients and providers for new technologies like telehealth. We need to keep regulators off the backs of direct primary care clinics that give you care without the interference from insurance companies. If we do all these things in healthcare, we can make sure that you get access to better care at lower costs. Third, to make Mississippi the opportunity state, We need to make sure that we give the people back control of their resources. That means reining in taxes and government spending. Instead of asking taxpayers to give the government more and more and more, government must do a better job with the resources it already gets. Instead of raising the gas tax, we need to prioritize and reform transportation spending practices. Instead of expanding Medicaid, we need to eliminate the regulations that prevent providers from competing to offer you the best care at the lowest cost. Fourth, again, we have to give those who have committed crimes and have paid their debt to society a second chance so they can get control of their lives back. We have the third highest incarceration rate of any state in the United States. We lock away too many of our citizens for non-violent crimes. We need to prioritize our resources in criminal justice to make sure that we're taking care of violent criminals and make sure that we're not imprisoning people that shouldn't be there in the first place. If we do that, if we prioritize it, we can get control of our prisons back. We have to be smart on crime, not tough on crime. Finally, to make Mississippi the opportunity state, we have to be given back control of our freedom of speech. Control culture thrives off controlling speech. The easiest way to control what you do is to control what you think. And the easiest way to control what you think is to control what you're allowed to say and what you're allowed to hear. Control culture is really a problem on our college campuses, so it's now more than ever important to protect free speech on our college campuses. That's why we support the Forming Open and Robust University Minds Act, the Forum Act, to ensure free speech on college campuses. Now, as I said, for many years, control culture has been the dominant culture here in Mississippi. I want to be very clear about one thing. Our current leaders did not create that control culture. Many of them want to change it. Many of them are here tonight that want to change it in their representatives. They want to get government out of the way, reduce the favoritism, and give you control of your life back. But they can't do it by themselves. In order for them to do it, you're going to have to get behind them. You're going to have to get in the fight. They need your help to do that. We're going to need you as AFP Mississippi to volunteer. We're going to need you to take actions. And we're going to need you to be more than activists and volunteers. We're going to need you to be leaders. We're going to need you to recruit other people to the fight. We've got a good crowd here tonight, but just imagine what we could do if every one of us brought 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 more people to this cause. There's no limit to what we can do. So we're going to give you, throughout the 2020 legislative sessions, a number of opportunities to be those leaders. We're going to have phone banks and text banks where you can contact your fellow citizens and have them contact their public officials to support these policies. We're going to give you organized opportunities to use social media to encourage your friends and family to contact their officials. We're going to offer you opportunities to visit your officials at the state capitol, and you'll have a good time getting involved. I can tell you from different causes like this that I've been involved in, and people here who are elected to office can tell you, some of the best friends that you've ever made in your life, you'll make being involved in causes like this. You'll meet a lot of good people. And I can say personally, in the year that I've been here with AFP Mississippi, it's been a lot of fun to meet and get to know some of you, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you a lot better. We've set up a website where you can go to get more information on how to get involved. That's opportunitystate.ms. Opportunitystate.ms. So go to that site, endorse our program, and send that link to your friends and family. Send that URL to your friends and family. Now, before we close, I want to introduce a guy that has just joined our team as our new Deputy State Director. Tate Lewis, fresh off the Tate Reeves campaign, is our new Deputy State Director. We're very excited about everything that he's going to bring to the table. If you guys step up and be the leaders that I know you can be, there's no limit to what we can accomplish. We can replace control culture with opportunity culture, and we can make Mississippi the opportunity state. I can't wait to see what 2020 holds. Let's get started. Enjoy your evening. I'll be here to answer questions after if anybody wants to talk.